Hello, dear students. In today's class, we will be discussing the chapter "What is What" from the textbook Fine Tune Your English. So, in this chapter, we'll be looking at the functions of the WH question words. I'm sure you all have learned about the different types of questions, the different ways in which you can frame questions. And the previous class, we also learned about the question tags. Now, in today's class, we are specifically looking at the WH question words, and we are going to look at the different functions of WH question words in different sentences. So, we'll be focusing on what, which, where, why, who, whom, whose, how, and when. Now, before we move into the functions, I would like you to remember or review what we learned in previous classes. When we learned about pronouns, we talked about the different types of pronouns. And one type of pronoun is what we call the interrogative pronoun. Interrogative pronouns are those words which can be substituted for a noun, and usually interrogative pronouns are seen in a question. So interrogative pronouns asks a question. Now, interrogative adjectives are very similar. Again, wherever you see a word interrogative, remember that all those will be the questions. All those will be the words which come in a question. So, interrogative pronouns are the pronouns like what, which, okay, all these pronouns, who, all these pronouns are interrogative pronouns when it comes in the form of a question. Now, interrogative adjective is a word that modifies a noun by asking a question. Now, for example, you can ask, um, what is the name of your friend? Okay, what is the name of your friend? Now, in this question, what is an interrogative pronoun? Because the answer that you get is a noun. So, what substitutes a noun? Now, interrogative adjective is one is where you find a noun attached to this interrogative word, this particular WH word. For example, what name have you given to the child? What name have you given to the child? Now, here, what is not an interrogative pronoun, but what qualifies the noun name? What name have you given the child? Now, here, what qualifies the noun name? So, it's an interrogative adjective. We have interjections. What are interjections? Interjections are the parts of speech that demonstrate the emotion or feeling of the author or the speaker. For example, what? WHAT, what? Okay, that is an interjection. Ah is an interjection. Ouch is an interjection. So, interjections are those words which demonstrate the feeling or the emotion of the speaker. Now, interrogative adverbs are again question words which come in a question, and interrogative adverbs are usually why, where, when, and how, because these questions do not give you a noun as an answer. All these uh, would explain a particular action. Why did you change your name? Why did you change your name? Now, here the answer is not a single noun, but it is a phrase or a clause which demonstrates an action. That's why we call it interrogative adverb. So these words, why, where, when, and how, when they come in a particular question, we call them interrogative adverbs. We'll look into detail when we do each question word. Now, relative pronouns. I hope you remember what relative pronouns are. They are the pronouns that had an adjective clause. Okay, they are the pronouns which which connect two parts of a sentence. For example, um, this is the engineer who built the bridge. So here, who is a relative pronoun. Now here, the sentence, this is the engineer who built the bridge, is not a question; it's a statement. So when who comes in that sentence, we should understand that it is not an interrogative pronoun, but rather it is a relative pronoun because it connects or it heads the adjective clause. Now, relative adverb is similarly the words like where, when, and why, they form relative adverbs when they come in a sentence. Remember, when they come in a question, they are interrogative adverbs. When they come in a sentence, they are relative adverbs. We'll look into detail when we do that. Relative adjectives. Now, relative adjectives are the adjectives that introduce a clause qualifying an antecedent. For example, our next meeting will be on Monday, at which time a new chairman will be elected. Now, here, which is a WH word, okay, which is WH word, but here it is not it does not perform an interrogative function because it does not happen in a sentence, sorry, in a question. But here it's a statement, okay. Now in this, when you look at which comes just before the noun time, at which time. So which is an adjective, it's a relative adjective. So these are the things which we have, these are the terms which we have dealt with when we did our classes in the uh, previous days of the semester. Now moving into what this lesson is all about. First of all, we look at the functions of what. Now, what can function as an interrogative pronoun or an interrogative adjective or simply as an adjective or a pronoun or an interjection? Look at the examples. In the first question, what happened between you and Tom? So it's a question. We have a question mark at the end of that sentence. So it's a question, so it should be interrogative. Now, is it an interrogative adjective or a pronoun? How do you understand that? If what is followed by a noun, it will be interrogative adjective. But here, what is followed by a verb? What happened between you and Tom? So, what is an interrogative pronoun? Similarly, what did you call him? Now, here again, we see that it's a question, so it is interrogative. And similarly, what is not followed by a noun, so it's an interrogative pronoun. Look at the next question. You'll understand the difference. I mean, what name did you call him? Now, here it's again a question. What name did you call him? You have a question mark at the end of the sentence. Now, here it's interrogative because you have a question mark here. And what is immediately followed by a noun, name. So, here, what qualifies the noun name? So, it's an interrogative adjective. Look at the next sentence. You have already lost what little reputation you had. Now here it's not a question, so it's not interrogative. But where does that word what come? Here what comes before little reputation? Now reputation is the main noun, little is an adjective, and what is also an adjective. So what here functions like an adjective. Look at the next sentence. Nobody knows what will happen next. Now, here, what is not an adjective because what is immediately followed by an auxiliary verb, will. So, what is not an adjective, but it is simply a pronoun. Why is it not an interrogative pronoun? Because it's not a question, it's a statement. Look at the next one. What a fool you are. What a fool you are. Now, here again, you see that what is not a question. Okay, it comes in a statement, it comes in a sentence. It's not a question. So, what is not interrogative, but what is an adjective because it's immediately followed by the noun fool. So, it's an adjective. Next one. What? You're justifying your conduct? Now, here, you're justifying your conduct is a question. But what is not part of the question? What is an interjection? It shows the emotion, it shows a surprise from the part of the speaker. What? You're justifying your conduct? So, what is not part of the sentence, part of the question? So, it's not interrogative, but it is an interjection because it shows the emotion or feeling of the speaker. So, I hope you understood the functions of what and how to understand what role what performs in a particular sentence. So, it can be an interrogative pronoun or an interrogative adjective or simply an adjective or a pronoun or interjection. Moving on to the next one, the functions of which. Now, which can also function like an interrogative pronoun or an interrogative adjective or a relative pronoun or a relative adjective. Now, here, look at the first example. Which is your favorite dish, fish or meat? Now, look at how the word which is used. Which, it's a question. Okay, the entire sentence is a question. So we have interrogative there. It's an interrogative question. So interrogative. And what function does it perform? Is it a pronoun or an adjective? It's definitely a pronoun because there is no noun followed by the WH word which. Now the next one. I said, which dish would you like to have now? Now here, if you look at this, you understand it's again a question because you have a question mark. And so it is interrogative. And which dish, which is immediately followed by a noun. So which qualifies that noun dish. So it's not a pronoun, but it is an adjective. It's an interrogative adjective. Now similarly, I have started with the dish which is nearest to me. Now it's not a question, so it's not interrogative, but it is relative because it connects two clauses. It connects two part of the sentence, and it is a relative pronoun. And why is it a relative pronoun, not adjective? Because which is not followed by a noun, so it replaces the pronoun. Okay, it replaces the noun dish. So it is a relative pronoun. Look at the next example. You will finish your meal only by 2 o'clock, by which time all your friends would have left. Now, here, which is again not in a question, so it's not interrogative, but it is relative. And look at this, which is immediately followed by the noun time. So, time, which qualifies the time, and which becomes a relative adjective here. Now, what and which almost perform similar kinds of function, but there is a slight difference in the way which you use them. I think we covered this also when we did another lesson in the previous class. The difference between what and which is that which is used when the choice is limited. When you have limited choice, you will use the word which. When you have a large number of choices, you'll use the word what. For example, the question, which Indian economist was awarded the Nobel Prize? Which Indian economist was awarded the Nobel Prize? Now, here you are limiting the choices. Okay, you're not asking who was awarded the Nobel Prize. It's a lot of uh, lot of choices. But then, which Indian economist? You are limiting the choices of the economists by specifying that they are Indian and also claiming that that person has won the Nobel Prize. So, which Indian economist? What writers do you like? What writers do you like? So it's a vast number of choice. You're given a lot of choices and you're asked to choose one or two writers that you want to. So when you have limited number of choice, you'll use the question word which, and you'll use what when you have a large number of choices. Now, I would like you to identify the function of which and what in these two sentences. The first sentence, which Indian economist was awarded the Nobel Prize? How do we understand that? We There is a question mark, so it's question, and so it is interrogative. And is it a pronoun or an adjective? How do we understand that? Which is immediately followed by a noun, so it's definitely an adjective. So which performs the function of an interrogative adjective in the first one. Look at the second one. What writers do you like? Now, here again, it's a question, so it's interrogative. And what is immediately followed by the noun writers? So it performs the function of an adjective. So it is interrogative adjective. I hope the functions of what and which are clear now. Moving on to the functions of where. Now remember, what and which are interrogative, they can be interrogative pronouns or interrogative adjectives. But where can never be interrogative pronoun or adjective, but where will always be interrogative adverb. Okay, it does the function of an adverb. It does not substitute a noun. It never substitutes a noun, or it can never qualify a noun, but where can only function as an adverb. Okay, so it can be an interrogative adverb or it can be a relative adverb, and can also be a conjunction which can combine two clauses, two sentences. Now look at the examples. Where did you go? Where did you go? It's very simple. It's a question, so it's interrogative, and we already said that where can never be an adjective or a pronoun, so it is always an adverb. So it's an interrogative adverb. Second sentence. Israel is one of those countries where people drive on the right. Now, here, it's not a question, so it is not interrogative. And we said that where can only function as an adverb. Okay, so it is a relative adverb. It's a relative adverb. Now, it can be a conjunction, it can combine two sentences. For example, as in the sentence, where there is leisure for fiction, there is little grief. Now, here, two sentences. There is leisure for fiction, there is little grief. These two sentences are combined by the conjunction where. Okay, so it can function also as a conjunction. So remember, what and which will always be either pronoun or adjective, but where will always remain to be an adverb. It can never be an adjective or a pronoun, neither interrogative nor relative. So where can also only function as an interrogative adverb and a relative adverb. Moving on to the next one, the functions of why. Now, just like where, we have why always functioning as an adverb. Okay, it can be an interrogative adverb if it comes in a question, and if it comes in a sentence or a statement, it will be a relative adverb. Now, would you try to identify the function of why in the following examples? Why did you quarrel with him? It's a question, so it is interrogative, and it's an adverb. Okay, it's an interrogative adverb. And the second one, I asked you why you quarreled with him. It's again a question. Okay, there's a question mark. So it's again interrogative adverb. Look at the third statement. The reason why I quarrel with him is that nobody else would quarrel with me. Now, here it's not a question, so it's definitely relative. Okay, it's relative adverb. So, why can function as an interrogative adverb and a relative adverb. So, remember, what and which can function as interrogative pronoun and interrogative adjective, relative pronoun and relative adjective. Where and why will always be interrogative adverb or relative adverbs. Moving on to the functions of who, whom, and whose. We have mentioned the usages of who and whom very often in the previous classes. We know that whom is the object pronoun of who. Who refers to the subject. Okay, who is always a subject pronoun, and whom is an object pronoun. Now, that's why we say whom is the objective form of who, and whose is the possessive form. Now, in the following sentences, we will try to identify the function. Who, whom, or whose will always be pronouns. Okay, they can never be adjectives. They'll always remain as pronouns. Who are you? Now, in this question, it's a question, so we have interrogative, and it's an interrogative pronoun. Who do you want to see? Or whom do you want to see? Now, here again, it's an interrogative pronoun. Now, I want to see the boy who punched me on the nose. It's not a question. So, who is a relative pronoun here? I hope that is clear. Moving on to the functions of how. How, just like where and why, how will always be an adverb. It can only function as an interrogative adverb. Okay, so how did the function go? Here it's a question and it's an interrogative adverb. Or she told me how she managed to escape. Now, here it's a conjunction. because you have two clauses. She told me and she managed to escape are combined by the WH word how. So how is a conjunction here. Similarly, we use when also as an adverb. When will never be an adjective or a pronoun, but when will always be used as an adverb. Okay, so it can be an interrogative adverb or a relative adverb or a conjunction. Look at the first example. The first which asks when they will meet again. Can you identify the function of when here? Yes, it's not a question, so it is relative adverb. Okay, it's a relative adverb. Or it can be a conjunction also. It can also be called as conjunction. When shall we three meet again? Now here, when comes in a question, so it is interrogative adverb. Next one. The second which replies, they will meet when the battle is lost and won. Now here, uh, when, okay, is a relative adverb because it's not a question and it comes as a relative adverb. There are moments in Macbeth's life when he regrets the course he has chosen. Now, here again, when is not in a question, so it continues to be a relative adverb. So, so many are the functions of the WH question words. We will just have a quick recap of what we learned in today's class. So we learned about the functions of what and which can function as interrogative pronouns or interrogative adjectives or relative pronouns or relative adjectives or as interjection and a conjunction. Okay. Now we have who, whom, and whose, which can also function as an interrogative pronoun and a relative pronoun. Now, the remaining WH question words will never take the position of an adjective or a pronoun, so they will always continue to be interrogative adverbs or relative adverbs. The question words like where, when, how, and why will always function as an adverb depending on whether it comes in a question or a statement. We categorize them as interrogative adverbs and relative adverbs. So I hope this class was clear. Thank you for listening. Thank you again.